Most talented actors never really book, and it has nothing to do with their acting. And I know you know that there's plenty of average actors that you've seen on TV that seem to be booking a lot always, and there's way more talented actors that don't. So why is that? Number one, I want to talk about casting. I was a talent manager for 10 plus years where we managed actors that were series regulars on Apple TV shows, Amazon, different networks. So I've really dealt with all casting offices. And one of the things that I want to talk about is that casting sometimes has a very specific look and probably energy that they're looking for. So some of these things are out of your control, no matter how talented you are. Casting would be one of them. Sometimes they're just looking for something and you happen to not be that and you don't look that way. So I think in that way, it's really important to remember it doesn't always have to do with your acting if you get something or not. A lot of times it actually doesn't. So casting a lot of times knows what it's looking for. So it doesn't even matter sometimes how good a job you do. I mean, it still matters because at least they'll bring you back. In my experience as a talent manager, they always brought back people that maybe weren't right for that part, but just did an amazing self-tape or just really good actors, so they kept that in mind. And that is a real thing. That is why auditions are not done in a vacuum. And I think that's really important to remember because sometimes as actors you can get very discouraged that you're not booking, but it's all work and it's all building up to something. So the better you do for all these acting offices, the better chances you have for the ones that you actually fit. So if they already like you, and this is a real thing, I've had this happen, I know multiple actors that this happened to. If a casting director really likes you, their push can get you the job sometimes. This happened recently with someone that I knew, and the casting director was such a fan of theirs that they pushed the producers to take her, that she was the best for the fit. So if you have a fan like that pushing for you, then that makes all the difference. Because at the end of the day, this is a human business. There's no one perfect or like it's all subjective. So when someone's really pushing for someone, that little difference can really push it over the edge. Very important that that's why you build these casting relationships and why these auditions matter even if you're not the perfect fit. Number two, and this one is in your control, most actors really market themselves wrong. And this was something that I dealt with a lot in my 10 years as a talent manager and even now as a producer, director. When I look at self-tapes, the amount of people that market themselves wrong is pretty astounding. I remember this film we just did, I was looking at self-tapes and headshots, and probably 60% of those headshots I felt like were completely wrong for them. And what that means is sometimes people have a tendency to glamorize their headshots. They'll put these borderline model shots or just too pretty, too modelly. And this goes for men and women, and it's not good. It doesn't help you. It actually hurts you because every time I see those, and now as a director as well, when I see those, I right away think this doesn't fit, this doesn't look like an actor, this looks like an Instagram influencer. That is not what people are looking for. So don't focus on just being the hottest, the most handsome. These need to be actor headshots and they need to be specific to actors. Don't go to some commercial headshot, don't go to some model headshot. Get headshots that look like actor headshots. Go to those photographers. When I was a talent manager, I had a list of photographers that I would always recommend because those booked and those got auditions. So do a good job with that. Get the right headshots. Don't skimp on that. Here's another one that actors do wrong when they market themselves is the reels. Sometimes they just put such horrible things in their reels that actually hurts you. Sometimes it would be better for you to have less than bad stuff. This is really important to remember. I would rather have an actor that has one super strong 15-20 second thing in their reel than 2 minutes or a minute and a half is terrible. Always bad to have bad stuff in there or even mediocre stuff. And to kind of build off that, because I've had actors deal with this before, is what do you put first? What do you put last? Put your strongest stuff first, always. A lot of people, they click out in the first 10-15 seconds if they're not into it. So put your strongest thing first. And if you've worked with recognizable actors, recognizable shows, put those first because that signals legitimacy to casting, to people watching your reel. So this is really important. Make sure that reel is perfect, that every bit of it represents you best, and that there's nothing that you're putting in there just to be like, oh, I want them to see that I can also do this. I always think that's bad advice. And when I was managing, sometimes actors would want to be like, oh, but I want them to know the different types that I can play or that I can do this. No, just put your best acting in there. That's what matters. Don't put anything mediocre in there or something that's just so-so. If you don't know what that is, get people to look at, hopefully your own agent or manager, that's what they should be doing. Or if you don't have that, get other people that will objectively tell you what's good and bad. Don't send it to your best friend who's just gonna back you up. Then point 3, this is really important, and again, gonna be a little bit frustrating for some actors, is that relationships beat everything. That's why you sometimes see mediocre actors or just okay actors that keep working. They're relationship builders usually. It's very rare that someone like that's not a relationship builder, and that's a skill set by itself. So relationships beat everything. This is, like I said, it's a human business. It's very much based on who you know, and that builds out. So does that mean go to every bar and try to network at the bars? No, it doesn't. It doesn't mean that. But relationships do matter, and I think even if you're an introvert, what that means to me is treat everyone correctly on set, be a good person to work with, casting, do good there, show up on time, professionalism, all that matters. That looks like the bare minimum, but you'll be shocked how many actors don't do it. So keep that in mind. All relationships matter, and keep in mind this industry is really small. That's always what I realize as a talent manager and now as a director. Everyone knows everyone. It's actually really easy to get info on anyone and kind of be like, hey, what do you guys think of this actor? Or have you heard of this actor? Everyone would know, and you pretty quickly find out if someone's a pain to deal with. So keep that in mind, that the relationships are super important, and build your own relationships. And that can be through your work, ideally. Ideally that's through your work. Maybe that's through your short films, if you're doing short films. Do it through that and go to festivals. You can build relationships in a more organic way through working and going to festivals, and in places that it's actually more, in my eyes, fun to build relationships than to go to networking events where everyone's kind of just giving out their business card, or to go to bars in the hopes that you do this. It's like you don't have to do all that. And then in relationships as well, this is really important. Maintain your relationships. This is a life skill. I know plenty of people that have lost touch with friends that they had 10 years ago, that type of thing, just because they're not good at keeping relationships. I've had friends that I've known for 20 years, but it takes a lot of effort to maintain those relationships. It always takes a lot of effort. If you're someone that's trying to keep score of who's doing the most effort, or if it's 50-50, it's never going to be 50-50. Like, if you feel like the relationship is worth it, and it is usually, you should maintain it, and that's all you should focus on. Like, keep in touch with people. See what you can do for people. Relationship building is something that is way more about relationship maintaining. There's a lot of people that just do not keep up with people or just lose touch. And now with social media, it's kind of easy to maintain relationships, a lot easier. It's really one of the things that you can use social media for, because guess what? If you're maintaining relationships and you have relationships with directors, producers, and you start building this out, down the line when they're doing something, maybe you're top of mind for something. That's how relationships work. It helps a lot there. And number 4 is consistency. Consistency matters more than anything. That goes for all the points that I mentioned, but being consistent and consistently putting in good tapes, consistently maintaining your relationships, consistently showing up, consistently doing good marketing, all of that builds up. And it's all invisible work, which is why it's hard, right? So it's not something that gets seen all the time, but consistency will get you further than anything else. And I think it's really important to remember that on the times that you're discouraged, is that nothing you're doing is in a vacuum. It's all building up. I think as long as you keep that in mind, consistency will be a lot easier. And consistency also means consistent quality with your self-tapes. A lot of people that I used to know as managed, they would have inconsistent self-tapes. They felt like this was a part that didn't fit, or a role they weren't as excited about, they would turn in a very mediocre audition. That is a bad way to do it. I think consistency means doing every tape as good as possible. It also means on set, here's another one, some actors, they don't always go full out when the coverage is not on them. Also bad. That is also not consistency. If you're on set and you're working, you should be going all out, the same that you were if the coverage is on you. If the camera's on you or not on you, that shouldn't change how you work. And there are a lot of actors that kind of take plays off, you could say, when the coverage is not on them. That is bad acting, that is inconsistent. So make sure you're consistent with your effort all the time. Point 5, I'm gonna kind of call it 2 points, it's my last point. It's ownership and audience, which go hand in hand. What that means is actors that are building their own audience is that social media, is that just through fans, whatever it is, that is more important than anything. I think as the more segmented audiences get, and the more it's going to be important that actors have their own audiences. And you see articles about this all the time lately, about famous actors speaking about how they were looking at Instagram followers and stuff. And this is true. These conversations happen. They might not be said out loud all the time, but they do matter. I remember I was thinking of producing this film, and they sent me a casting list of actors. And not huge name actors, like definitely working actors, people that have been series regulars, but no huge A-list names. But all those actors on a list of 10, 15, all of them had their follower count and how many they were in another category. So there are people and producers and companies that look at that. There's some that don't look at that at all. So if you're not on social media, don't feel like that you have to go on there. I think you should, but I know there's also people that can't do social media, or especially artists can be very sensitive, and sometimes social media can be really bad for that. So I totally get it. Just know that there are a segment of people that care about that stuff. So in terms of maximizing opportunities, definitely social media helps. Building your own audience. And what do you post about? I mean, I'm not a fan of posting self-tapes personally. I've seen people do that. I don't love that. But I think your short films, little, even 2-minute, 3-minute short films, you can post stuff like that. You can post things that hopefully you're working on. I think every actor should be producing as well, making your own content, making your own feature, anything like that, and creating your own basically career, so that you're not just waiting around and for auditions and waiting for someone to say yes, because that feels powerless. And I think one of the best ways to feel more in control is to take more control of your career. So yes, talent still matters. Obviously, if you're a bad actor, it's going to be really difficult. It's not the most important, it's not the number one thing. It's kind of like the minimum almost required is to be a good actor. There's exceptions of not great actors that work, and usually that's a look thing or really a relationship or nepo thing. So this stuff does happen, but in general, you do have to be a good actor. And even actors that you see on soaps, they're still good actors because they know how to act on that show, you know. And that's another thing that we can get into another time, is how to adjust the type of acting for the type of show, because it's all very different. But it all matters. So make sure that you're, you know, really thinking about these points, and let me know what you're working on and what you're struggling with. I'm happy to make some more videos around this, especially since this is something that I spent so much time on, like 10 plus years. So anyway, happy to help, and I'll see you guys next week.